Hello, welcome back to another video. My name is Gemma and today I'm going to be talking about my Trans Girl April TBR. So, if you're unaware, Trans Girl April is a brand new readathon for 2023 being hosted by Kevy at Say Kevy and Willow at Books and Bow, and I was so delighted when Kevy put this together. I have so many books that I want to read. I am not, disclaimer, I'm not going to get to them all in April. This is every trans and non-binary author that I want to get to is on my list, but I just wanted to shout them all out in this TBR video because they all sound like such amazing books, and it is really important to promote and champion authors from minorities, and trans authors get a pretty shit end of the deal. So we are gonna celebrate all things trans and non-binary in April, and I am very excited to tell you about the books that I am hoping to read. So the readathon is split into different sections. There is a little grid, I'll try and put it here, and we have trans man, trans woman and non-binary, and then there is fiction, non-fiction and genre fiction. So I'm going to be honest, I've gone a little bit rogue and just picked out a load of books that I'm interested in. I'm going to section this video up into authors that are trans women, trans men and non-binary. But outside of that, this is just a big melting pot of amazing books. So bear with me and let's talk about some amazing books. So I'm going to start with books by trans men. I found this a really difficult category to fill. I found loads and loads of trans women and loads of non-binary authors that I am interested in. The books have been on my radar either for a while or from recent recommendation videos. I will just segue here and say that Kevy, Willow and Scott from Gunpowder Fiction and Plot and Charlie from Charlie Brooks Reads have all done some great videos highlighting some trans books, so I'll leave all of their videos below if you're not sure where to start. They have some great ideas. But trans men I found really difficult, so I actually only have three books by trans men that are on my TBR. So if you know of any more, please let me know in the comments below and I will add them to my ever-growing list of books to read. So first of all, one that I'm really interested in, and Willow did speak about this in her recommendation video, and it is a manga called To Strip the Flesh by Toda and translated by Emily Balistieri, and both the author and the translator are trans, which I think is fantastic. And this is, I think it's short stories but focusing on what it is like to be a young trans boy in Japan is my understanding. I don't know too much about it, but I really want to push myself into some manga this year, and this seems like a brilliant place to start. I don't have the book physically at the moment, but this is going to be one of the ones that I treat myself to on payday. So yes, I'm really excited to get to this one and see what it's like. Then there is also Cemetary Boys by Aiden Thomas. This got quite a lot of hype a couple of years back when it was released, and I think this is sort of YA, fantastical elements. There is a trans character, but it just sounds like such a fun, fantastical romp that I really do want to get to it, and it had such high reviews. Charlie is actually planning on rereading this, so she loved it so much the first time that she's going to reread it, so it really had to go on the TBR. The other one that I already had a hold on at the library before this readathon was even announced, but still hasn't come in, which shows how popular it is Welcome to St. Hell by Louis Hannock. This is a graphic novel, and I think it's based on the author's life, what it's like to grow up as a trans boy in school, and it has been shortlisted for the Waterstones Children's Book of the Year in the older reader category. As soon as I saw it on there, I immediately put a hold on it, but as I say, it still hasn't come in, but I'm really excited to get to that one. So as long as it comes in April, it will be part of my Trans Girl April TBR. If it comes in after that, it will just be part of my general TBR. So watch this space. Now I'm going to move on to books by trans women. So the first one on my list, which ties in perfectly with another challenge that I'm doing, is Little Fish by Casey Plett. So Casey Plett is a Canadian trans woman, and if you are unaware, Jolene over at Bookworm Adventure Girl is hosting a Read Canada challenge for 2023, and this fits for the province that we have in April, which is it Manitoba? Might be Manitoba. So I can tick off 2 birds with 1 stone if I read Little Fish. And I think this is a really, really hard-hitting book. It looks at a trans woman's life and what it's like for her, and I think there is reference to the sex trade in there, and sort of depression and mental health and all of those sorts of things. So I think it will be really, really, really eye-opening, and I really want to try some tasty Plett. So that's on the TBR too. Then we have an author that I've been meaning to get to for a while, Juno Dawson. So there are loads and loads of books I could choose by Dawson, but the one that I already own on my Kindle is What the Tea, and this I believe is non-fiction. And I think this will be a really good one for me because I am not super up to speed on transgender issues, and I feel like I need to educate myself more. And I think this is more marketed towards a YA audience, which I am clearly not a young adult. However, I think it will give me quite a nice non-fiction grounding to sort of build on from there. There are a few other non-fictions that I think will help on that journey on that list. So yes, I will, because I was quite nervous about putting this video together because I didn't want to say anything that offended anyone. So if I have, please let me know in the comments so that I can sort of retract and amend anything that I've said that's incorrect. But I thought it was more important to highlight my support of this amazing readathon and trans people in general than it was to hide under my cover in case I got something wrong. So I've put my big girl pants on. So the next one we have, sort of following on from that, is The Transgender Issue by Shon, Faye. As I said, this is also non-fiction, so I think this will build on What the Tea by Juno Dawson, and I think it will give me sort of a wider scope of transgender issues generally. So I'd really like to get to that one. Then one that I saw Scott recommend and sounds so good is Tell Me I'm Worthless by Alison Rumfitt. And this is a horror and it has had nothing but praise. So I really, really, really want to get to this one. I think it's haunted house. I think there are trans characters in there. I think there's probably political undertones within it. So hell yes, sign me up for that book. Then we have I Hope We Choose Love, a trans girl's notes from the end of the world. And this is a collection of essays and poems. So if you've been here before, you'll know poems generally aren't my jam, but essays are 100% my jam. I love an essay collection. So I'm going to give this a go. It will push me a bit more in the poetry direction, which I have actually been enjoying this year. So hopefully this will continue the trend. But I do love a good essay collection. So this is on the list. This is also non-fiction, I believe. Then Light from Uncommon Stars by Ryka Aoki. Again, this is one that has had loads and loads of hype on BookTube. It's sci-fi, and I've heard it's sort of equated to Becky Chambers, who, if you haven't been here before, I stan. So anything that's going to give me sci-fi Becky Chambers vibes is absolutely on the list. Another non-fiction, we have Even This Page Is White by Vivek Shraya. To be honest, Vivek Shraya has such a huge catalogue of work that I may pick this one up. It may be a different one. There are so many great ones that are available on Scribd, but I definitely want to try her work. And obviously this one is going to look at sort of race intersectionality within the feminism sphere. So that is definitely something that appeals to me as a reader. So that's sort of the one I've chosen for this video, but really anything that she's written is on my radar. So then we have one that I didn't even realise was a trans author until Scott mentioned it in his video, and that is The Prettiest Star by Sickels. I don't think this covers trans issues within the actual novel. It looks at the AIDS epidemic, but this was one of the nominations for the BookTube Prize maybe the year before last, and it had so many great reviews. So I really, really want to get to that one. That is also available on Scribd if you are interested. Now we're going to move on to non-binary authors. So first up, and I actually own a couple of these physically, we have The Tea Dragon Society by Kay O'Neill. This is a super cute children's graphic novel. I bought this for my eldest son Sam, and he read it ages ago, and I haven't read it yet. So I was like, this is the perfect opportunity. It's super cute, super short, about little dragons, I think, that grow tea leaves on their horns. That might be completely wrong. I'll let you know when I wrap up at the end of April. So that one is on the list. And then we have The Deep by Rivers Solomon, and this is sort of dark mermaids, but it sort of hails back to slave revolts on ships moving from Africa across the Atlantic, where a lot of slaves would basically jump off ship into the sea. And I think this is what forms this mermaid population. It's interesting because I'm currently reading Wake by Rebecca Hall, which covers slave revolts, and it's talking about that at the moment. So I think it will be quite good to pair the two in quite quick succession, a non-fiction into a fiction. So yeah, I really, really hope to get this one. Also, this one was very kindly sent to me by Bookish Gems, because she read it a while ago and she had finished with it, and she sent it to me because she's a darling. I do also have another book by Rivers Solomon on my audio TBR, and that is An Unkindness of Ghosts. This one I think is sci-fi, and I don't know any more about it apart from the fact that it made Charlie Brooks' best books of the year last year, which means I have to read it because she has excellent taste. So that one is also a potential. Then we have one that Willow talked about, and that's Nettleback by Nat Reeve. And this just sounded so much fun. It's historical fiction about a woman who doesn't want to get married, so runs away and ends up in some sort of vigilante cult, I think. But she said it was really darkly funny, and I love historical fiction as well, so I will be trying to get myself a copy of that one. Then there is Case and Calendar, who is an author that is being highlighted within this readathon anyway, because the group book is Felix Ever After. I am not going to pick that one up because I'm not a massive fan of YA or romance, so it just doesn't sound like my jam. But Moonflower is middle grade, which is really focused on mental health in children, so it sounded really interesting to me. Again, it's available on Scribd, so I think I'm going to try this one from Case and Calendar, though really particularly any of their middle grade books are of interest. So we'll see where I get to with that. And then we have, of course, the very well-hailed Aoki and Meze, and I will be trying to read You Made a Fool Out of Death with Your Beauty. This is also on my sort of priority reads for 2023 anyway, so again, I will be ticking off 2 birds with 1 stone if I can get to this one. And this is a romance, and I know I've just told you I'm not into romance. However, I have been assured that the romance doesn't overpower this book, and that it is also for people who detest love in all its forms. So, so I will be trying to get to that one. And there is one more, and this is by various authors, so this is sort of why it's saved to the last. It's a compilation of short stories. Again, I can hear you. I hear you say, Gemma, you don't really read short stories, and this is true. Oh, Rudy's making an appearance. However, I saw this one on Scribd, and it just sounded like so much fun. It's called Transgalactic Bike Ride, Feminist Bicycle Sci-Fi Fiction Stories of Transgender and Non-Binary Adventures. And it's edited by Lydia Rogue. So, do you want to move out of the way? So, as you know, I love sci-fi, and this just sounded like a great opportunity to experience a variety of trans and non-binary authors and sort of see if there's any within that compilation that sort of spark my fancy that I can then delve deeper into their work. So it just sounded great. The cover is amazing. So that is it. I think that's quite a lot of books. I definitely won't get to all of those in Transgirl April, but I just wanted to highlight all of the amazing books that I really want to read. Obviously, reading trans and minority authors isn't just for 1 month of the year, so this will be an ongoing project to try and get through some of these authors and these books, and I just can't wait to dig in. So are you taking part in this amazing readathon? If not, why not? And I will be back very soon with another video. Thanks, guys.